I'd like to call to order the Westmont Village Board meeting of January 27th, 2022, to order at 6 o'clock p.m. and ask our fill-in clerk to take roll. The acting clerk.
Thank you. Mayor Gunter?
Here.
Clerk Simsky is absent. Deputy Clerk Richards present. Trustee Barker?
Here.
Trustee Brady?
Here.
Trustee Guzzo?
Here.
Trustee Little?
Here.
Trustee Nero?
Here.
Trustee Simonovich?
Here.
Attorney Zemanek?
Here.
Village Manager?
Here.
Assistant Village Manager Parker?
Here. Would everybody please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. The first item, open forum. Is anybody here? There's no one here that wants to discuss something that's not on the agenda, so we'll move on to reports. And for my first item, I'm going to ask Chief Riley to give a COVID-19 update. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Village Board. Finally, I have a little good news for us as we are starting to see things settle down for a change, but I'll give you some numbers first. In DuPage County, 192,397 cases, along with 1,645 deaths. In Westmont, 4,677 cases, and unfortunately, since last meeting 2 weeks ago, we've had 2 new deaths, so we're at 95. Now, the good news is, Mayor, is that the positivity rate is continuing to go down over the 7-day average. We're currently sitting at 13.5%. However, the bad news is that the deaths is up over 13%. As you remember, a couple of weeks ago to a month, we were in the teens for deaths, and we're on a 7-day rolling average of 43 deaths. And the other good part of the news is that the hospitalizations is down almost 13%, which is great news, giving those healthcare workers a little bit of a break as they've been very tired from, as our paramedics have been also from running numerous calls and taking numerous COVID patients to the hospital. The one other good news is that 75% of the total population in DuPage County is fully vaccinated, and 83% has at least 1 dose in the arm. And the other news is that only 52% of DuPage County residents are fully vaccinated and has received 1 booster shot. So again, we continue to trend in the right direction. Hopefully that continues to happen here for a while. And as I finish it always is please wash your hands, social distance at all possible. And again, visit and shop our dining restaurants downtown Westmont, but continue to do so in a safe manner. So that's all I have for you tonight, Mayor, unless you have any questions for Ryan.
Chief, those percentages, does that include everybody in DuPage County or over a certain age?
Yes,
or
sir.
Everyone?
Yes, sir. That's all DuPage County.
So of that,
And just for another side note, Mayor, is 0 to 19 was the leading, age 0 to 19 was the leaders in the category for cases in DuPage County. 20 to 39 was in the second category, and 40 to 59 was at third. So the elderly or more senior residents are at the bottom of the chart, which means they're staying in, staying safe, and doing the right thing.
All right, thanks, Chief. Any other questions? My next item is 2022 Luge Tryouts. Westmont has once again been contacted by the U.S. Olympic Luge team to work with them to provide a location for their Midwest tryouts. The U.S. Luge Tryouts in Westmont are being requested for the month of June, and we've had this several times before where they use Cass Avenue, top of the hill, north of 55th, and they use that for their run. So we're looking forward. More information will be forthcoming. There is a vaccination clinic at Westmont Junior High this Saturday, January 29th. Community Unit School District 201 and the Westmont Pharmacy is hosting a free vaccination booster clinic at the Westmont Junior High, 944 Oakwood Drive. Advanced sign-up is recommended. However, Walk-ins will be accepted. Visit the village's website to register. So if you haven't been vaccinated, need a booster, please take advantage of that. And I'm going to turn it over to our acting clerk.
Thank you. Yesterday, the village had its first Public Information Committee meeting of 2022. More than a dozen public agencies, village departments, and community organizations participated to promote their upcoming events and activities. There will be a press release consisting of a comprehensive 2022 calendar of events, and that'll be published soon. The other thing I have to report on is the Westmont Citizen of the Year. Nomination forms for the Westmont Citizen of the Year program are available in the lobby of Village Hall and at the Westmont Chamber office at Westmont Center. Online forms can be found at westmontchamber.com, and the deadline to submit those nominations is Friday, March 4th, 2022 at noon. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Richards. We'll move on to Trustee Simonovich.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, we held the Police and Public Safety Committee meeting. Chief Gunther gave us his 2021 annual report. I'd like to extend congratulations to our Police Department Employee of the Year, Detective Tom Gazilski. The chief also gave great recognitions to Officers Rooney and Arndt, as well as Detective Noonan, so congratulations to those officers and their hard work. The chief gave us an update on some call and crime statistics, but basically just all of the excellent work that the department is doing to keep our community safe. Finally, we discussed the 2022 goals, one of which includes staffing. The police department is hiring and taking applications now through February 22nd with a test that's going to be held on March 19th. For more information on applying for that, you can visit the village website or iosolutions.com. The chief also gave us an update on the progress we're making with the body-worn cameras, which we hope to implement by the end of the year, which I'm happy to say is well ahead of the mandate schedule. And finally, we discussed the Safety Act trailer bill and some of the changes that have gone on this January to push back some deadlines. That's all I have.
Well, thank you. Busy meeting. Trustee Johanna Guzzo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple things. First, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to our Public Works Street Department. Again, great job on the snow removal, so thank you to them. Our next Fire Public Safety Committee meeting will be March 10th at 4:30 at Village Hall. Everyone is invited to attend. Warming centers. The village website has been updated with current information regarding warming centers in Westmont. You can find this information under residents, then click severe weather safety link. Shoveling around fire hydrants. We ask residents if you have a fire hydrant near your property and you're able to help, please shovel the snow away from the hydrant to help our first responders. And last but not least, a second prescription drop box has been added. It's located at the Johannic Fire Headquarters Station, 6015 South Cass. You can also find information on that on the village website. And thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you. We'll move over to Trustee Brady.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Regarding the community development, the planning and zoning at the January meeting reviewed the following items. Reviewed entitlements required for a new tire business at 6490 South Cass. They also reviewed a zoning text amendment to improve regulations for cell towers and antennas. They discussed possible improvements to the village zoning ordinance regarding solar energy. Two of these items were recommended and will be on our agenda today. At the February meeting, the planning and zoning is expected to review entitlements to a performing arts studio to move into 212 and 212 East Chicago Avenue. Also review entitlements for proposed Park District building at 125 East Richmond, which is the Veterans Park. Under solar energy, we want to thank Jason Vittel and Joe Hennerfield for the hard work in making the changes in permitting the zoning procedures for solar energy systems. These changes now satisfy the requirement for Westmont to become a certified Soul Smart community, which may happen in March. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Barker.
Thank you, Mayor. The EIC Committee, Environmental Improvement Committee, will meet February 7th here in Village Hall. And we currently have the Holiday Lights recycling going on until Monday, January 31st at the library parking lot or the Johannic Fire Station. And then, after our conversation about the NOMO, that went out in a press release and the program was opened up after the board support. We already have dozens of people already signed up for that. So we're extremely happy. That's going to be a very popular program this spring and summer. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Little.
Thank you, Mayor. The next Administration Finance Committee meeting will be held February 24th at 4:30 right here in Village Hall. Wanted to let everyone know that we're accepting applications through the village website for summer seasonal maintenance workers in the Public Works Department. So if anybody's interested in that, please head off to the website and take a look at the information that's contained there. And the community newsletter, Westmont Neighbors Magazine, has gone out of business, sad to see. But we are working on producing an electronic newsletter for February, and then we'll return to a printed newsletter for the entire community starting in March. We do have a community event that started, or it's going to start. It's the Peace, Hope, and Love Community Mural Project. Westmont Special Events and the Creative Arts Network have created the Peace, Hope, and Love Project. There's 3 components. Businesses can sign up to have a mural with the Peace, Hope, and Love theme on their windows. And then the community is invited to visit these businesses and take selfies with those murals. Then finally, people can participate in the Peace, Hope, and Love art and essay contest. So sign up at westmontevents.com. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And the dates on that is the 16th through 25th or
Not
of
certain.
February? Yeah, and it's also the same time as a restaurant week, I believe. So look on the site for that too. Trustee Nero.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple items. Our next Public Works Committee meeting will be held on March 24th at 4:30 right here at Village Hall. Another thanks to our Public Works team for the snow removal, always doing a great job. We appreciate it. I think it's always makes me smile when neighbors ask how many times are they allowed to pass their house, because it seems like a lot of neighbors hear them all the time, and it's just nice. They do a great job, and it just makes the road safe to get around for everybody, including our first responders, so we appreciate it. And just a reminder that they're going to be out, so if there's 2 or more inches, no parking on village streets for 8 hours after the snow has stopped falling. We appreciate it. And then next, just a quick update on some upgrades to the Metroid train station. Metro has announced that they will be remodeling the train depot in Westmont starting the fall of 22 and 23 through spring of 23. These improvements will include new bathrooms, new lighting, and new heated platform. Construction is to be completed in 23. So great update to hear. I'm glad they finally stayed to their word. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Well, thank you. Moving on, items to be removed from the consent agenda. Any trustee see any? If not, I'd ask Manager May to please read.
The consent agenda this evening, first is Village Board meeting minutes. Board to consider approving the minutes of the Village Board meeting held January 13, 2022. That's followed by the Village Board executive session minutes. Board to consider a motion to accept, approve, and release the following executive session minutes with the exceptions as noted. First, April 26, 2018, June 21, 2018, September 9, 2021, September 23rd of 2021, except paragraphs 5, 6, and 7. The Illinois Open Meetings Act requires that the Village Board periodically review to accept, approve, and/or release the executive session minutes in whole or in part. Next on the consent agenda is Finance Ordinance number 19 in the amount of $1,434,794.92. There's one purchase order, Axon Enterprises, $119,075.86. The purchase order together with Finance Ordinance number 19 totals $1,553,870.78. And that's the consent agenda.
Do I have a motion to approve as read?
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Nero.
Motion been made in second. Comments, questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Little,
Yes?
Trustee Nero,
Yes.
Trustee Barker,
Yes.
Trustee Brady,
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo,
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich.
Yes.
Motion passes. We do not have any unfinished business, so we'll move on to the new business. A, Bell Tire, 6490 South Cass Avenue. Board to consider an ordinance approving requests from Barnes Development Company, LLC, regarding the property located at 6490 South Cass Avenue for the following. 1, special use permit to operate a battery and tire sales and service establishment in the B2 General Business District. 2, a variance to allow a parking lot to encroach into the side yard adjoining 65th Street. 3, a variance to allow a 60-foot flagpole to exceed the maximum height of buildings and structures in the B2 district. 4, preliminary and final plat of dedication. 5, site and landscaping plan. And 6, commercial masonry waiver. And I've got Director Sylvester to give us additional information.
Mr. Mayor and trustees, good evening. As was just explained, it's a request from Barnes Development Company for several approvals so that they can construct what I think is a pretty exciting project here in Westmont on the south side of town. I think everyone's familiar with this site. These are the 2 vacant lots that are split by a street on the very southern end of town. And the proposal is to build a tire and battery service and retail center on the northern of those 2 currently vacant lots. So I think this is a nice development to put that vacant land to good use. Just real briefly on each of the 6 entitlements. Some businesses, as you know, require special uses. Others are permitted and don't need to go through this process. But a tire service center is a special use. So it did have to go through the Planning and Zoning Commission and have a public hearing. I should pause for a second and say all of these were reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission at a public hearing, and all of these were recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission. The second one, the variance for the parking lot encroachment, it is an unusual piece of land in that it is surrounded on all 4 sides by public right-of-ways, and it's difficult to meet all of the setbacks when the entire piece of property has streets on all sides. I think the developers have done a good job of putting a building on the site in a very reasonable manner, but even so, they do need the one variance for a parking lot that is a little closer to the sidewalk than our rules allow. The second variance is for a flagpole. This business likes to have very tall flagpoles as part of their branding, so they need a variance for the flagpole that they're requesting. The fourth item is a preliminary and final platted dedication. This is actually where the developer is helping the village. Currently, a piece of sidewalk encroaches onto their private property, and they've agreed to give to the village just enough of their private land so that we can incorporate it into the public right-of-way so that that public sidewalk is in the public right-of-way instead of the public sidewalk crossing onto their private land. It's just a cleaner and neater way to do things, and they were very cooperative in doing that. And then the last 2, the site and landscape plan. Anytime a new building is being constructed, a new commercial building in town, it has to go through planning and zoning to make sure it meets all of our requirements for landscaping and parking lot design and access, and we do a review of the appearance of the building as well. That was all recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission. And then the last one, I can't remember the last time there was a proposal that required a masonry request, so I'll just take a brief moment to explain that. The village requires new construction to be entirely or mostly masonry, and there's 2 reasons for that. One is a fire code requirement to achieve a minimum fire rating, and then the second one is aesthetics. It's an attempt to make sure that people put up buildings that are attractive and look solid and don't use things like maybe metal siding or something that we wouldn't consider attractive. When a development is proposed that doesn't meet that masonry requirement, we do 2 things. We hold them to the requirement for the fire rating, because that's a life safety requirement, and we have the Fire Prevention Bureau verify that whatever their particular wall structures are being built out of meet that fire requirement, and that's the case here. And then in terms of aesthetics, we highlight this issue during the Planning and Zoning Commission discussion and just say it doesn't meet the minimum masonry requirements, but then we discuss at the planning and zoning level, is the building attractive enough even without meeting that minimum masonry? And in this instance, planning and zoning felt that it's an attractive building, and even though it doesn't rise to that minimum amount of masonry, planning and zoning felt that it was an attractive building. So they recommended approval for that one as well. I'll leave my report at that. Matt is here representing the business if people have questions of him.
I have a question for you, Bruce. The variance for the flagpole. I drove past one of their other locations on Ogden this week, and it's a lot. I guess my biggest question is there any restrictions on what type of flag goes on that flagpole? I mean, it's a gigantic American flag, and I'm very supportive of that, but like, is there gonna be an issue with they can put up some other type of flag or advertising flag or something like that?
Good question, and they're not allowed to use that flag for advertising because
Okay.
we've got strict rules regarding wall signs, monument signs, things like that advertise the business. They also can't advertise on the flag for another business not on the property. But as long as it's non-commercial speech, such as the American flag, we don't regulate the content at all. We only and we don't regulate the size of the flag itself. We only regulate the flagpole by saying we don't allow structures over the height of the district, the height allowed in the zoning district, which is 45 feet in the B2. And this is proposed to be 60.
And the flag itself was one of the biggest American flags I've really ever seen, and it was a lot. So I guess I'm just concerned about a different type of flag going up there and kind of what that looks like aesthetically.
Yeah, if it's advertising, it's not allowed. If it's non-commercial speech, we don't control it constitutionally.
And to go along, that's a great question, is at the site you saw, how big was the flag? Was it an American flag?
It was an American flag that, to me, it was distracting enough as I drove by that I was like, oh my gosh, but it felt like it was larger than like the building itself. Like it was, and it got me thinking a lot about kind of signage and the size of signs and the way the flag kind of can be a sign and just whether, we want that big of a sign, for lack of a better word. But then I felt like I was being unpatriotic in some ways, so I just, I want to make it clear it wasn't really about that, but it is very, very large and distracting.
Trustee Brady.
Question, what other locations do you have where these flags are? Are they in Illinois? Excuse me.
Yes, good evening, Matthew Shoemaker with Cage Civil Engineering. They currently have 4 stores, I believe it's 4, they're opening quick, so that there may be more now, but they have one in Shorewood, Joliet, Villa Park, and Naperville, I believe, the Naperville site.
On Ogden,
is
yes.
the one you're referencing, yeah. So I actually drive past the one on Ogden every morning as well, and I think it looks great. The sun's coming up, the flag's flying, and just so you're aware, they have the number is growing quick, but they have over 130 Bell Tire stores, and I would say 90% of these stores have this flag. And to my knowledge, the only flag they fly is the American flag.
A couple more questions. Will this flag be lit up, the pole be lit up at night after hours?
There is
The flag will stay
uplighting.
up 24 hours a day?
Yes, correct.
Okay, because that's the law. If you have it up 24 hours a day, it must be lit. Will
Correct.
it be, I don't see the drawing here, but where will the flag be, in the front of the building?
Yes, it would be the
Like between the sidewalk and the building itself, something like that?
correct, yeah, northeast corner of the site. So it would be the southwest corner of Pier and Cass, would be where the flagpole would be located.
Well, I must commend your company because, number one, I've been living in Westmont over 24 years. Very few people fly the American flag, especially on June 14th, which is Flag Day. And I think it's a great idea just to put the flag up. It's very prominent. It's going to stand out, that's for sure.
It will.
The size, that's quite large. I just hope that it's not a distraction, to traffic going by. Because when we started having the illuminated TV screens, some of the companies had it so brilliant, it was we're changing the subject. But long as it's not really distracting, what do you think the size of the flag is?
It's 20 by 30.
Okay. Okay. Because I'm retired U.S. Army, and I'm very patriotic, and I fly the flag 24 hours a day, and my flagpole that's lit up at night. So I really appreciate what you're doing for Westmont. Thank you very much, and welcome. Your business can move into Westmont. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Trustee Barker.
Thank you, Mayor. I should have called Frank, but, my question also is about the flag. The flag etiquette, when they declare that it has to be half-staff and all of that, are you required to participate with that? And does the company do all those things? Because I know it's half-staff, it seems like almost every 2 weeks, and it's a lot of work. And I'm wondering if these flags are able to fly that low, and do they do that? Or is it gonna fly high like a banner and draw attention to the business? I mean, I'm patriotic, I love the American flag, I want your company in this town, but I want it put out there, I don't want it torn, and I want it respected, as it should be.
I don't have an answer to that question, quite honestly, but I will get that from the owners. I will say that I know they take a lot of pride in their flag, because that is their branding, and they're very proud of that and their stores. As you'll see, if you have the opportunity to visit any of these Bell Tire stores, I highly recommend it. They are very well finished on the outside and inside, and it's almost like a dealership when you walk in there. It's very well taken care of. The waiting area is very nice, and I just know based on their level of pride that the flag is part of that. But unfortunately, I don't have a direct answer for your question.
Yeah, and maybe Frank knows, is that required, all that etiquette?
Actually, I know that.
Okay, manager.
Whether it's a U.S. president or the governor of each state has the ability to declare that and do it, but it is for governmental buildings. It's as far as the requirement, and the issue. Everything else is voluntary participation. So there's not a requirement to do it, but the ability to do it, I don't know.
Right.
But
Well, thank you.
not have to.
Just a comment, Trustee Barker, I'm on Google Street View, they actually have the flag on the picture as half-mast, so I'm gonna assume that if
So
Google
they are
caught it
doing it.
on the day that they're doing imagery, that they're on top of it. It is a big flag, I mean, Trustee Simonovich is right, but, hey, I definitely am sympathetic to putting something else up there that big, but I think that's a pretty powerful American flag, holy cow.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's cool, no, and it looks like it's in great shape, yeah, here, I'll show you. It's half-mast all day long.
The good news is the variance for 60 feet, so even if it's droop, it's gonna come down half. So there's still gonna be 30 feet above it. But
It's 30 feet long, so it's,
30 feet long, so it's
Come halfway.
halfway down.
when there's no wind, it's,
Yeah.
But there's a lot to the proper etiquette.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I need a motion to approve as we discussed.
Motion to approve, Little?
second, Barker?
Motion made and second to
Second.
approve. Trustee Brady.
A second.
Oh, you seconded?
Second motion.
I thought you wanted me to.
Sorry.
All right, it's seconded. Go ahead.
On the question, this is all as one motion, but if anyone would like any item such as the flag variance segregated, speak up now. And it can be voted on separately. Otherwise, you're voting for everything together.
Seeing none, any other comments, questions? Chief?
Just a comment. When we decide the flag, when the opening day of your company and putting the flag up, I recommend we get the Frank Trout in the American Legion. He's the commander of the post. Have him out there at the Chamber of Commerce, and we would dedicate the flag being put up on your opening day. And I think they'll be very proud of it, not for your business, but for the town of Westmont. Just my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure Mr. Forsberg will be, I'm sure, discussing it with you to make sure we get you off to a good start. Any other comment? Not, I'd ask for a roll call, please.
Trustee Little,
Yes?
Trustee Brady,
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich,
Yes.
Trustee Nero,
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo,
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Motion passes. When are you going to break ground, do you know?
As soon as possible. Yeah, we're submitting for the building permit hopefully next week, and their goal is to break ground in Q2.
and completion this year?
Yes, yeah, typically within 6 to 8 months.
Okay, good. Welcome.
Not the building, the flagpole.
That's just a flag.
We'll make sure we get that one too.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
New business B, the video gaming terminal fee increase. Board to approve an increase to the video gaming terminal fee to $250 per machine, which is now $25. And I turn it over to Deputy Village Clerk Richards.
Thank you, Mayor. Since video gaming was allowed and enacted in the Village of Westmont, the cost for each terminal was set to $25, and we were not able to change that due to being a non-home rule community. The state of Illinois recently amended the act to authorize non-home rule municipalities to charge a fee of $250 per terminal. The item before you tonight would change the current fee of $25 per video gaming terminal to $250 per terminal. Currently, an establishment can have up to 6 terminals at their location, and this will be renewed annually. There are about 117 terminals that were billed for this year for approximately 20 businesses.
And I can add that this will not start until next calendar year when they get their business license. So right during this whole year, they're still going to be at $25, unless they get a new machine, then they get charged $250. I do have to say, some communities are charging $1,000 per machine, and I don't think this is going to hurt anybody. So I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Little?
Motion made, second. Comments?
I would just like to elaborate, Mayor. I agree with you. Many communities are way above this, and we've been generous for, I think, long enough, and I'm glad this came up.
Okay.
That's all I have.
And one comment, last meeting, we did do the moratorium on gaming for this year, so we could take a look at everything. And this doesn't go with it, but we'll have that in a future meeting just to look at where we're at with those 117, 14 terminals and where we want to go with this. So I'd ask for a roll call, please.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich?
Yes.
Motion passes. New business C, wireless communication tower and antenna text amendments. Board to consider ordinance approving zoning ordinance text amendments to create and clarify regulations for cellular towers and antennas. Director Sylvester.
Mr. Mayor and trustees, so we have a zoning ordinance that regulates land uses in the community, and we use it all day, every day. We're constantly getting requests for people to build things and construct things. And so we're constantly reviewing our ordinances and applying them to people's proposals and requests. What happened is a couple of months ago, our planner, Joe Hennerfind, was receiving some inquiries about possible new cell towers in the village. And as he was looking through our zoning ordinance, he concluded and shared with me, and I agreed with him, that the rules that we've had for years are a little vague and didn't really provide the protection level that we thought would be appropriate to make it clear where cell towers would be allowed and under what circumstances. So Village Attorney Zemanak provided us with a draft of some regulations that he had at his disposal, and then Joe Hennerfind and I spent some time modifying it, tweaking it, and adding to it to make it specific to Westmont. And that results in the ordinance that's in front of you tonight. It's very lengthy, it's very detailed, but I would summarize it with basically 3 broad categories. We've tried to clarify that a cell tower requires a special use permit and has to go through a rigorous public hearing process and is only allowed in very limited locations and only under very limited conditions. And if the location and all the conditions are met, then a proposed tower might be able to be approved. And we drew that as a distinction from antenna. Antenna might be mounted on the roof of a building or, you know, a tower that has already been previously approved, and the requirements are less rigorous, and there's no public hearing requirement for antenna. So we drew that distinction. And then the third thing is we tried to draw a distinction between all of the other kinds of antenna that are out there that are not wireless telecommunications. So you don't see them anymore like you did in the 80s, but you know, the satellite dish antennas that people often used to have in their backyards, ham radio antennas, receiving antennas that old-fashioned people like me still have on the roof of their house. Those kinds of antenna we differentiated from and created rules for all of those kinds of antenna as well. So in a nutshell, in 12 or 14 pages, that's what the rules are trying to accomplish. Planning and Zoning Commission considered it and recommended approval.
And Director Sylvester, this is kind of consistent with other communities, similar, so it's nothing we're doing that's over and above anybody else.
Yeah, and probably the first point I made is the most important. It's saying a tower is the one that needs the most scrutiny and has to meet the most rigorous requirements.
And on top of 60-foot flagpole, right?
Right.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second?
Motion made second, trustee Brady second. Any comments?
Yeah, Mayor.
Trustee Barker.
Since we're discussing this and it's not about the text, so we have antennas on our water towers. We have a cell tower. I watch planning and zoning, so we have a cell tower up off of Ogden Avenue. Only one in the community.
There's one more,
63rd Street.
Okay.
down by the rec center.
Yeah, okay. And then we have a thing from a couple of years ago where we have antennas allowed on telephone poles now. Is that 5G? Is that what that's all about?
That's a small cell wireless facilities, and that's governed in another chapter, not the zoning section. And we have regulations around small cell wireless deployments. This is different. This would be antennas put on, wireless communications antennas put on existing structures or new towers.
Right, okay, so then the other one, and, you know, how it's all sorted out. So the other one is Downers Grove has flagpoles that are antennas, and they're, you know, they're a little bit, you know, like belt tire, a giant flagpole with a giant flag. And then that is a tower disguised as a flagpole. Are we protected against that, or do we want that? And then, where was I going with all this? I gotta come back to it.
He didn't mention it.
Well, I can try to answer while you think of your last
Yeah,
question.
please.
So the proposed rules that are in front of you would allow what we call monopoles, as opposed to lattice towers and anything with wires. So we're prohibiting lattice towers and anything that's held up by wires.
Yeah, not prohibiting. So just to clarify, there's a kind of a preferred order for cell towers. People want to put antennas up. We first say we want you to co-locate on an existing building or structure or an existing tower if that's feasible. If that's not feasible, we prefer, and you have to build a new tower for coverage reasons, we prefer that you build a stealth tower, which is basically a hidden cell tower. You don't know that it's a flagpole disguised as a cell tower, or in some cases they have cactuses or other church steeples. So that's number one. And if that's not feasible, because you can't get it high enough or something for the coverage, they can ask for a monopole tower, which is just a single pole with no wires or anything. It's just less intrusive than the bigger towers, which are the lattice towers, which are the big structures like down on 63rd Street. So in each case, they have to justify why either co-location is not feasible, or stealth tower is not feasible, or a monopole tower is not feasible to get to what they want.
Okay, so thanks for the time to think of what I was, so and John is leading it down that path. So with this new construction of a 5-story building, are they able to go and put antennas on top of that? And do we have any control over that, or is that, you know, once the building's built, do we have any jurisdiction as to what they do on top of their building? with towers and or antennas, I guess it would be.
To the extent that the village is requesting co-location on existing buildings, that's a good thing, right? If they can put it on a building rather than build a brand-new ugly tower somewhere in your town, let's say in the B2 district, that's preferred. So we don't, just like they've put them on top of the Hilton Hotel, and the village has allowed that and doesn't care. The village doesn't care if they go up on, let's say, a new downtown apartment building, but we do have regulations about those antenna, like how they're painted. They have to be structurally secure, where the ground equipment can be, and painted, I mean painted a neutral color. They can't extend out over the building, things like that.
When you say 150 feet, is that 150 feet the pole or 150 feet from the ground?
For the towers, it's, the maximum tower height is 150 feet from the ground.
From the ground, okay. Additional comments?
Thank you.
Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. New business D, software agreement with Frontline. Board to consider ordinance approving a software agreement between the Village of Westmont and Frontline Public Safety Solutions, LLC. Chief Gunther.
Thank you, Mayor. As I explained earlier in the Public Safety Committee meeting, this is a program that's going to really improve the police department's efficiency and increase transparency with our various components that we are engaged in, such as use of force, officer complaints, officer compliments, pursuit driving. There's a whole suite of data that this program will track, and we're looking for it to becoming more efficient with it, and also using reports that we can then send out to the community, which is the transparency piece.
Have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Simonovich?
Second, Little?
Motion made, second. Comments? Anybody? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Simonovich?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Motion passes. New business E, Empower Health Biometric Screening Agreement. Board to consider ordinance approving a biometric screening agreement between the Village of Westmont and Empower Health Services. Director Brainerd. I keep saying Bernard, but it's Brainerd. Okay, Renee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. This agreement is with the third-party vendor, Empower Health Services, that administers the village's annual health and wellness program for staff, and the agreement sets forth the general fees and scope of services for that program. A similar agreement was approved last year, and with your approval of the current agreement this evening, that would allow the Health and Wellness Committee to move forward with finalizing and rolling out the 2022 Health and Wellness Program for staff participation.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Nero.
Motion made, second. Any comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Simonovich?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Motion passes. Miscellaneous, Manager May, is Mr. Forsberg on?
He is.
I want to know if he want to take the opportunity just to give us the dates on the restaurant week.
There he is.
Yes, I'd be happy to share the dates on the Westbound Restaurant Week. That is coming up on February 17th through February 27th, and we're just finalizing the list right now. It looks like we'll be somewhere in the range of 15 to 20 restaurants will be participating. So this will be our 6th annual Westmont Restaurant. We're all very excited about it. Thank you for the opportunity to share that.
Thank you. Anybody else got any items? Since we do not have an executive session, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn, Barker.
Second, Simonovich.
Motion made second to adjourn. Roll call, please.
Trustee Barker,
Yes.
trustee Simonovich,
Yes.
trustee Brady,
Yes.
trustee Guzzo,
Yes.
trustee Little,
Yes?
trustee Nero.
Yes.
And I want to thank everyone. This meeting is adjourned.